Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our small business virtual town hall meeting every Tuesday at noontime. And then also this is a tape so that you'll be able to see the tape on our Facebook page as well. But I'm Dan McKee, Lieutenant Governor, and we'll be talking on a full show today in terms of the small business issues in particular. Very happy to be able to have our Attorney General Peter Neronha on and Mark Haywood, kind of a follow-up on things that have happened in terms of some of the fraudulent applications that are being made and some of the fraudulent claims that are being made. I think it's really important that we focus on that a little bit today. And as we mentioned last week, we're going to continue to talk about our Small Business Coalition, of course, with the DLT, with Matt, and the DBR, the Department of Business Regulation, with Director Tanner. All very important issues. I welcome everybody who's listening in today. If you have questions, you can type them out, and Ben will ask, help ask the questions, and the questions that we don't get answered, you can be assured that our office will follow up on any question related to any issue that you're going through, but in particular to the issues that are impacting our small businesses today. You can call our number. Thank you, Ben, 222-2371. That's our office number, and you can email to ltgov20@gmail.com, which is our Gmail address during the pandemic, and we visit that every single day, more than once a day. If you have questions, we'll definitely get back to you, and we appreciate the questions that come in during the pandemic. As always, let's stay healthy. Let's follow the rules. Let's wear our masks. I got a special one for Liz Tanner today, a little peace sign, and keep the social distancing. That way, our economy gets to open up quicker, and we're able to get back to business. And that's what we're all about, to save these small businesses. Going to talk with Secretary Pryor today, as well as an update on the $50 million of grants that the governor established a few weeks back, and get an update on that, because we get that money out to all our small businesses. And we're going to continue to advocate through the coalition for another $75 million. Make it a little bit easier than it is even today to access those dollars, and to continue to work for a loan program that we're going to need. We're going to need a loan program that will help these small businesses when, in fact, the time comes that they're going to need to borrow some money, because the cash is going to be important. Finally, I would say that we are entering in on the school conversation, looking at our public schools. Anybody that's interested in that conversation, I believe that we need to make a real community effort. There's going to be a lot of lost learning here. I don't care where you live. I don't care how much your income is, how low your income is. I don't care whether you're a minority student or a non-minority student. There's going to be a serious amount of educational loss. I see Senator Palmer. Thank you, Senator, for being here. And there's going to be a serious amount of education loss, and we got to figure out a way to make up that space. Our school year is going to get abbreviated in some form this year. It's not really sure exactly how it's going to look, but we know it's going to get abbreviated. We know that there's going to be less time on learning, and our cities and towns are equipped, just like I said, in Cumberland, when I was the mayor, we had an Office for Children, Youth, and Learning, and that office is a 52-week-a-year education strategy, helping kids how to read, do math, leadership strategies, science, robotics, music, art, and many, many related education areas. It's helped thousands of kids in our town. I think it could help tens of thousands of kids if we had established these municipal education offices throughout the state of Rhode Island, especially during this time frame, where catch-up and additional hours of learning is going to be so critical to the futures of our students and to the state of Rhode Island. That being said, Ben, I think that we can start off with our program today. And I don't know if the Attorney General is with us. I'd love to have him come on with me. Peter, unmute yourself and welcome to our virtual town hall, Peter.
Great to be with you, Governor, as always. Good to see you, everyone.
You bet. Yeah, and I'd love to hear a little bit about just an overview you can share with some of the people that the challenges that your office is having through COVID in general, with just the normal operations, the normal court operations, and you share that a little bit. And then I did mention, I tried to get the message to you that Mark Haywood talked about some fraud that's going on SBA loan applications, and I'm going to bring him on shortly to really talk in depth about the fraud issues that we're dealing with, not only on unemployment, but now I'm hearing that is happening on our loans. So give us a little overview. It's been a few weeks since you've been here, but the challenges that you're having and the work that you're doing in the Attorney General's office.
Thanks, Governor. Yeah, so the criminal justice system, which most people equate with the office, is sort of, for lack of a better word, kind of staggering forward. There are no jury trials yet, and we need to get some of those trials going this fall, and we'll see how that goes. There's a huge chunk of the office, though, that does really important work for the people of the state: healthcare, environmental enforcement, consumer work, which I know we're going to talk about, and that work has continued unabated. Civil work really lends itself to remote work a lot better than criminal work does, and so we've been able to keep that side of the office running a little bit more efficiently and better, frankly, kind of keeping up with the criminal stuff. But we are delaying trials, and you only go to trial in a really small percentage of the cases we do, but we've got to get those rolling. So operationally we're doing fine, and we've got a great team here, and we continue to hopefully put out some good work. We had a good case last week involving an environmental enforcement action against a facility in Johnston that had really been running for a long time with no permits and not having any real pollution controls on it at all. And so I think that was really important work that we did in partnership with DEM and the EPA. So in terms of fraud, Mark and I think, have known each other for a while. When I was U.S. Attorney, we ran into each other from time to time. Fraud is something that obviously we're always concerned about. On the state side, we tend to see it, for lack of a better word, on a smaller scale. So if you're defrauding a federal agency like the Small Business Administration by putting in a fake loan application, if you're filing a false loan application with a commercial lender or a private lender, we saw that a lot. Mortgage fraud was a big deal when I took over as U.S. Attorney in 2009, and so those are cases that are important. Although I will say that frankly, our federal counterparts are better equipped because we have such strong federal fraud investigative capacity, including with the SBA, the FBI and others. That's a great forum in which to bring that cases, although we're always interested in that here. We did a little research before I came on today and have not had a lot of complaints about Small Business Administration fraud to our Consumer Protection Unit, but that doesn't surprise me a lot. It seems to me that we're going to hear that mostly from our federal law enforcement partners. But it's good to be vigilant about that. And I guess the last thing I'll say before letting you, Governor, kind of take the helm again is that, it's really important for businesses to know out there, and I sense that most businesses are savvy enough to sense fraud when they hear it. If somebody appears to be acting on behalf of the Small Business Association administration and is asking for personal identifying information or offering bridge loans or things that don't seem quite right, the best thing to do is to reach out to the SBA directly and get some straight answers. But my sense is that most businesses are pretty savvy about fraud when they see it. I really worry about, the everyday Rhode Islander that is really, particularly in COVID, been the subject of an almost onslaught of schemes to try to convince them to turn over information that can be used against them. So let me leave it there, and I'm happy to put a weigh in.
You see Joe Rodeo. Joe does a lot of our legal work in our office. He's on the screen with you right now. And Joe, if you recall, we're certainly working with your office on other issues of fraud or misrepresentation on the consumers that you're really very, very much involved in and taking the lead on, General. So thank you for doing that. In particular, I remember I was having a conversation about door-to-door sales that was impacting people in terms of, kind of misguiding them in terms of how to purchase their electricity. And we're working on that, but I know you are as well. But Joe, how you doing today?
Everything's fine. Thanks for asking.
Yes, that's good. So we got the Attorney General on today. Do you have any questions of him on some of the things that are going on, Joe? Or
I think one thing that we hear a lot, that I hear a lot, both from our small businesses in general, you mentioned everyday Rhode Islanders, is, what do I do? The onslaught is certainly active in all areas, but especially in the cyber area. And so if I, a small business or individual Rhode Islander, have reason to believe that somebody may I've clicked on the wrong link, somebody infiltrated my system. Does your office have resources? I get that question all the time, to direct those to your attention.
Yeah, so certainly they could call the office. What I would recommend there is to call our consumer protection unit, which is 274-4400. I think the prompt is either 3 or 6, but it comes up when you go through the system. I will say though that if you're a business and you think that you have been hacked or your system has been frozen, and we've seen that, our office will, if you were to call our office with that, the first thing we would do is to direct you to one of two places, either to the FBI cyber team or the state police's cyber team. I'd probably send you to the state police first, because we work with them a lot and they're really, really good. The FBI is too, but they can be spread pretty thin around New England. So I would refer them to the cybercrime unit out at state police. And the number out there, I should know this by now. I'm blanking on it. I should be able to call this. I know it's 1,000, but I can't think of the first three. I can't think of it.
Well, we'll make sure our office has that number handy. Thank you. That's very helpful.
Yeah, State Police Cyber Crimes Unit is always the way to go. And then if there's a case to be made, they would link it back to us. I think the trick with cyber that I always found when I was U.S. Attorney and now here is a lot of the bad actors are going to be offshore, so making prosecutions is difficult. But where the government can really help is really in two ways. And I think we can always do a better job of this, is sharing the threat picture. So if you're seeing something in business A, how to get that information to all the other businesses that might be seeing the same thing. And then if you are somehow, if you have had an intrusion, the government may be able to help with resources as to how to undo that damage. There it is. I knew it was. Yeah, there it is. I knew it was 1,000.
1,000. You got it. Yep.
That's the number. Very good.
Thank you.
Ben does a good job. He looks these things up, or Cheyenne, or someone in our office, to make sure that they're quick on our feet there, Peter. So, yeah, it's great to have you on. Is there anything else that you want to highlight, General? Or we'll bring Mark Haywood on and talk specifically about the issues he was bringing up last week, which was alarming to me, to tell you the truth.
No, Governor, I'm happy to listen in for a little while longer. I can stay with you a little bit.
Stay on the screen. Stay on with us while we bring Mark on.
Sounds good.
Mark.
Okay, so in honor of Liz, I've now changed my mask.
Yes, and I don't know.
A couple of weeks ago, I had this one here.
Yeah.
Now I have quarantine McKee, quarantine 2020. So we have to change it. So General, it's great to see you.
Good to see you, Mark.
We have been changing our masks as we go along as kind of a challenge to Liz. And so that's my number 6 mask, Governor. So right here, this one here is number 6. I do have more, so you'll see them soon.
Well, you still got a couple more weeks left, Mark, before you head into the sunset.
I do, and I have. It's funny because I was telling people I'm very honored that I have actually 4 senators, 2 Republicans and 2 Democrats that have called me and asked me maybe I should rethink my retirement and kind of push it out for another year, that this is probably not a good time to retire. So I'm kind of weighing all of those possibilities. General, I got 40 years, so I got to figure out what I'm going to do here. But a couple of things that I do want to talk about on the serious side is, starting about 2.5 weeks ago, we started getting calls from state employees who called and said, you know what, somebody just SBA ODA, Office of Disaster Assistance, just hit my credit check, my credit, and I was wondering what this is about. And when they've gone into it a little bit more, we found out that, in general, I can talk to you offline about this, that there have been a significant number of state employees, and I think it goes back, General, to the Equifax breach a couple of years ago. And then last Friday, I had discussions. It seems like it's moved from Department of Administration now over to the Department of Environmental Management. I did talk to Director Coit about that. And there are a number of people in DEM that now have been hit. Here's the interesting thing. It's not only them, but I had one individual, the individual in the Department of Administration call me first, and then come to find out his father was breached. His father called me. So there seems to be a systematic with state employees. And I mentioned this to Matt Weldon because the people who have called us, General, are people who also had false claims filed for unemployment as well. So, and I'm sure it's a very sophisticated group. I mean, I have started the last 3 Monday mornings off by calling the Criminal Inspector General's office in New York. And I have provided to them on a regular basis anywhere between General 5 to 6 a day of people who are calling us and saying, somebody hit my credit and I'm not a business. I didn't apply for a disaster loan. I'm not sure what this is all about. So it's pretty prevalent here right now. The last couple of weeks have been a lot more active than we had anticipated. Yep. I've also brought in our senior people in Washington. I've told them what's going on. I do believe Director Coit did contact the state police on this matter, but there seems to be a pattern of state employees, and I received a message that this could be traced back to that Equifax breach that goes back a couple of years ago. So we're concerned. So this is what we've been telling people, General, is check your credit on a regular basis. If you see that somebody has hit your credit and you have not applied for an SBA economic injury disaster loan, call us. Ben, if you could put our website up there, they can always go to Rhode Island_DO at SBA.gov, because we want to make sure that we're turning this over to the appropriate authorities, and clearly fraud seems to have, which is too bad, because there are a tremendous amount of people who need these economic injury disaster loans. We want to make sure that they get them. And if there are issues that we need to deal with, then we need to be talking to the appropriate officials. So I'm grateful that the General is on today, and Governor, I appreciate that. Joe, by the way, you're looking a little scruffy. I'm sorry, but yeah, it's things that concern us, and just rest assured, once we find out about it, I turn it over to the Inspector General. The Inspector General has been extremely good, where if we have a number for the individual other than an email address, they will pick up the phone. They'll have the agents reach out directly to them, and they'll start to do some matchups to see where the investigation would go.
So, Mark, having someone like yourself who has this national, exposure and experience on the SBA, we're equally, fortunate to have an Attorney General that has had the background as a U.S. attorney, and that's one of the reasons I bring him on, not only to speak from his point where he serves today, but also from the point where he served in the past. Yep. This is a very critical issue as a small business owner, to have your credit breached, or you have someone that representing you in a way that you did not give that permission. So I just wanted to have make the Peter aware that this is part of our conversation that is going on these calls, and let him weigh in, because I know his office has been extremely helpful to many people who have had the experience of having their identity theft taken from them, and so, General, just give a little overview of what again. Sure. That kind of be repetitive, but I thought maybe you and Mark could kind of talk this through, because having the resources that we have, and again, our office doesn't have the legal experience you have, but we want to be this place where people can go to, and then we can have them guide them in the direction that they need to be guided. So yeah, just weigh in a little bit what Mark talked about. This is very concerning to me.
Yeah, sure. And thank you, Governor, for making the connection. So, this is the kind of thing that had I, been still in my old job, Mark and I would have been talking, no doubt.
Right.
And so, and I imagine, Mark, if you haven't, or the Inspector General hasn't been talking to the U.S. Attorney's Office, I got to believe that they will be or already have been.
I believe they have, General.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, and as you were laying it out, I had not heard that before just now, but it is entirely consistent with the DLT modus operandi of these people, which is they've gotten this information and they're using it to access, government benefits. It's the same thing. It's the same game plan, and they just moved from DLT to the SBA. So the U.S. Attorney's Office and the FBI, State Police, and my office are working on a criminal investigation arising out of the DLT side of it. So I'll circle back. If you guys have been speaking to the U.S. Attorney's Office, my folks who are on that with them may already know that, but I'll make sure that my folks are aware of this issue, and then we'll raise it with them again. So we make sure that everybody is talking to each other and working on that angle. There are always in these fraud cases two sides of it. I alluded to this earlier, which is to catch the bad guys. And look, you may, just to be realistic, the money mules, we call them, some of them may be in the States, but many, where the money is eventually going, odds are is not. So we may get some of the smaller to mid-range players here and get justice in that sense. But really, prevention is the key. And that's why these kinds of things that we're doing today, and Governor, you deserve a ton of credit for putting them together, or a means of getting that word out so that people aren't victimized. Prevention is worth an ounce of cure here, and so doing this and getting the word out is really important. So I will get this back to the investigative team and the folks in my office, and then I think some real thinking needs to go into how we get the word out today and beyond to small businesses that might be victimized by one of these schemes. I think this reminder to check your credit is a great idea and critically important. So few of us, frankly, remember to do it. We really don't think of it until we see a red flag, and we don't kind of put a calendar mark to check it every week, a couple of weeks, or once a month, or whatever.
Yeah. So
General Neronha and I have, when I was the chairman of the Federal Advisory Council, and the general was a U.S. attorney, and on just small business matters, we brought the general in to help from a fraud perspective on making sure that small businesses understood what their responsibilities were. We had him at a couple of advisory council meetings as well. So he's an expert in this area, very well tested, and we certainly are very appreciative of the position that he's in now and what he's doing for the business community. Yeah. I check my credit every week. It's free of charge, and we tell people there are mechanisms by which you can lock down your credit. And clearly that's it may be a cost for that system, but the problem is when people are deliberately, and by the way, General, we understand that most of these are offshore, and they're trying to move the money offshore as well. It's a real issue, but we don't want small businesses and just general people who are not even in business, they're trying to use their name and they have social security numbers and addresses to get funds from the U.S. government that they're not entitled to. So, General, I look forward to working with you and your team if there's anything I can do. And the answer is yes, the IG is constantly in contact with the U.S. attorney on these issues as well. Yeah,
totally makes sense.
Well, General, thank you for being here today. And, we want to get the small business loans to our small businesses. We want to get, the grants that we're advocating for to our small businesses. And we don't want a small business to have to have any more challenges than we have right now in Rhode Island because of the COVID-19 issue. Our small businesses are really being impacted. So I know they all appreciate, the work that you're doing and the ability to contact your office. If they smell a rat, call your office, and then you'll be able to guide them. And the same thing, call our office the same way. Anybody listening, we can direct you into the right channel. So, Peter, thank you so much for being here and taking the time to be with us today.
Thank you, Governor. Thanks, Mark. Thanks, Joe. See you everybody soon.
Yeah.
Bye now.
Thanks, Mark. All right, Mark, give us an update on the federal stuff, and then
I just want to say, upstanding guy, had a great relationship when he was a U.S. attorney. very forthcoming, very, very open and honest. And I think, in public officials, we really, truly need those kind of individuals because they are the core of what we do. Governor, and you and I went back and forth a little while ago. Nothing is happening right now. The Congress is out. Certain aspects of the HEALS Act still remains. Senators Rubio, Collins, as well as Shaheen and Cardin have all agreed on the PPP, although I'm calling it the grandson of PPP because we had PPP, the son of PPP. Now it's the grandson of PPP. And I know that there's a lot of anxiousness in the community waiting for this to come out because it's targeted at, according to what we have seen and what we have read. Joe, have you read that by any chance?
It's been a little while since it was introduced. I have, but it's been a little bit.
And it targets businesses who have lost anywhere between 30 to 50% of their revenues over this period, as well as a forgiveness for the first loan up to $150,000, kind of a blanket forgiveness, which really is about 85% from what from what we've determined of loans here in the state, Governor. So it really has a tremendous impact. We have to wait for the Congress to come back. I do know I've talked to Senator Reed's office, and clearly they are well aware of the PPP related provisions and have talked to Senator Cardin and Senator Shaheen. So, it's a waiting game right now.
Okay. Well, let's bring on Matt Weldon because I want to, you got a little thing. You had a little, you got a question, Ben. Oh my God, Ben. And he's got the new background looking really good,
Yeah, Ben, that really is. It looks nice out there.
Thanks, man. I have two questions. One, please don't retire. That's not really a question. It's a statement. Number two, do you have a preferred site to check credit or are any of the three okay? How would somebody go about checking their credit? Is there something that you would suggest?
So, for example, on the credit cards that I have, I can go on and it has a weekly update to my credit. And on it, I don't know if this is with I only really use a couple of credit cards. And using this, it tells me that there will be an update, but I can go in and it will tell me how many people have hit my credit and when they hit the credit. And that's really your key. So I know that my credit has been hit 3 times since last year, a year ago this time, and I know who hit it and why they hit it. So, because it says right there, it was hit by X bank and this is the reason why. So that's, if they have credit cards that give that kind of service, and I think Chase, JP Morgan, Citi, BOA, there's a whole bunch of them that have that feature to your credit cards. I look at my credit almost every day because I don't wait until the end of the month to pay. I kind of pay as I go. It's just certain things that you do when you don't really deal with cash a lot. But if people can do that, and up at the top, it says Experian, operated by Experian. So if it's operated by Experian, it's hitting all the credit agencies. So all I'm saying is that, be diligent on this because it's in your best interest. The last thing you want to see is a loan in your name that you're responsible for that you didn't apply for. Yeah. And we want to make sure that people, as soon as that happens, and Governor, my biggest thing is I nearly fell off my seat. I got the phone call from this gentleman and I said, well, I sent you an email. We've taken care of it. You talked to the Inspector General. And he said to me, oh, no, I'm the father of that individual. And evidently they were on some kind of application with that individual that was lifted in this this other, I can't remember, Equifax lifting.
Yes.
And they grabbed his name and social security number. So, I mean, he says, I don't work for the state. I don't own a small business. I'm retired. And I nearly fell off my seat, Governor, when he said that. He said, no, that's my son you talked to. They hit me too. So, I mean, they're a very sophisticated group. And evidently there are a number of them that are working in the state, in the country, and people just need to be vigilant.
Yeah, I know that. And we can, thanks, Ben. But I got, Matt, do you have time to stay to the 1 o'clock time, or are you pressed
Sure.
here?
No,
Can I
I'll
bring
wait.
on Stefan, the secretary, as a hard stop? But keep Mark on. the secretary on. Secretary Pryor, welcome. Thank you for being
Mr.
here. I know
Secretary,
that
how you doing?
Yes, so we'll keep Mark on here too, because this is all kind of related in terms of the
Secretary-
helping our small businesses out. So go ahead, Ben.
Secretary,
What do you got?
Secretary, can you unmute yourself, please?
Oh,
There you go. Thank you.
I'm
Yes, we're
much
good
more
now.
articulate when I'm muted, though. I warn you.
Well, we'd have to kind of be able to read lips, that type of thing. But it's a lot easier for me. I don't have that skill set. So welcome, Stefan. Thank you so much for
Thank
being
you,
here.
Lieutenant Governor. Great to be with you again, sir.
Yeah, give us a little overview of not only what you're working on, but in particular the grant issue in terms of
Absolutely.
what's happening on the process there, and did it reopen, and what's the framework that you're going to be working under this next phase.
Appreciate it, Lieutenant Governor. And Director Hayward, great to see you. And I'm glad to report to you, Lieutenant Governor and Director and colleagues, that we've opened round 2. We opened it on Saturday. Thank you, Lieutenant Governor, for your continuing help in publicizing the program. And I want to also give a shout out to Andrea Pelagi, who's been helping tremendously working with Matt Chief. So far, between round 1 and round 2, we've had over 1,600 applications. So we're very pleased with that response so far. That's individuals who've gone through part 1. As you know, Lieutenant Governor, it's a 2-part application. So I want to offer a lot of reminders as I talk to the businesses who are watching, members of the Small Business Coalition and every small business owner. Make sure that if you've applied through the first phase, there's a second phase which you must complete and contains most of the information. You must complete in order to be complete. Please look for an email from CRF. That's the Community Reinvestment Fund organization. That's our partner. Look for an email from CRF or from an individual from CRF and complete that application. Very important. As of this morning, we've already dispersed over $1 million and $400,000 in addition to that million. $400,000 more is in the closing phase. So payments are being made. So this is good. To see only a couple of weeks in that payments are starting, and there are many, many more that are close, and where people have to either finalize their DUNS number or provide one more document and upload it. So we're pleased. And the applications that we've received so far the total, the 1,600, probably this is guesswork, Lieutenant Governor, and Director Hayward knows this well. Until an application is approved, you don't know the total amounts. But having said that, with those 1,600 applications, we probably have $10 to $15 million worth of potentially fundable applications. Now, that means there's plenty of money left. So small businesses should not panic, but they should, given that the total pot is $50 million, they should proceed with their applications. Please keep applying. We welcome your applications in round 2. Lieutenant Governor, thanks to a lot of input we've gotten from small businesses, including the Small Business Coalition, and I want to give a lot of credit there. We have simplified different pieces of the application process that were giving people trouble, and we've authorized a couple of things to enable more small businesses to be eligible. So with your permission, sir, I want to get into that a little bit. Is that okay?
Please. Yeah, please.
So first of all, we have to document revenue loss because this is obviously a program for businesses that have experienced loss. But we've dropped the number of required months of demonstrated loss from 1 comparison month to 1 comparison month from 3. So you used to have to show 3 a quarter's worth. Now it's 1 month to 1 month. So that just simplifies the amount of documents that need to be uploaded, and it will save people time. And quite frankly, we're trying to qualify as many businesses as we can. The other thing I want to point out is it adds flexibility. We had from the very beginning wanted to keep things simple, but we wanted to include seasonal businesses. As you know, Lieutenant Governor and Director, seasonal businesses may not experience losses in the same way. They may need to choose different months to make their demonstration work. I know you're with me. So what we did is allowed for the choice of that month in accordance with the preference of the seasonal business. And all the seasonal businesses, we started out by, I think we established an email address that seasonalbusiness@commerceri.com. There may have been a dot in there, but seasonal business, that seasonal business email address, we had been accumulating seasonal businesses for whom our original formula wasn't working. We blasted them the information that they now have more flexibility, but I want people to hear directly from me on this call, with thanks to you, Lieutenant Governor, for the forum. Please know that if you haven't proceeded through the process because the loss was not getting demonstrated for you, now's the time, because it should work for you. Okay, a couple other things, a handful of additional things, so bear with me here. Employee counts. The standard under PPP, as Director Hayward knows, is the IRS Form 941 for showing your personnel numbers. Even though that was the federal standard, we have now added the additional qualifier, which is you can use your Rhode Island tax and wage report, which is the Rhode Island TX17 instead. So we're allowing that. So if you're a business that was running into the problem where you just couldn't generate your 941, here's a new option for you, your Rhode Island TX17. For expense documentation, this is a big one, Lieutenant Governor and Director. This is a big one. Expense documentation was happening at the tail end of our process to say, all right, let's tabulate how you're expending these funds. We're still asking you to give us an expense report. An expense template has to be filled out, but we're only going to require that the businesses hold on to their receipts, hold on to them, invoices, receipts, other payment documentation for our grant. And we're going to, on a sampling basis, check it out. In other words, not every business has to upload their expense documentation. We already had an exemption over $5,000. Now it's just the expense template. Just write out what you're spending it on, and you're good. There's a number of other things I'm going to leave. There's 3 or 4 additional important things. I'm going to leave them out and just say this one big thing. Travel agents. Travel agents, we always intended to include. A number of travel agents were stating that the NAICS code that they would ordinarily include excluded them as a severely impacted business. So we've created a new process by which, check out the new version, by which you can get into the system and basically specify a more detailed NAICS code. There's more digits in it, and you can be qualified as a severely impacted business because Lord knows travel agents have been severely impacted. So you can see, Lieutenant Governor, that this is an iterative process. We're very pleased with the response so far. We are ever simplifying, compressing, and making easier this process, providing more flexibility and qualifying more businesses who need to be qualified to get them the grants they deserve. So we know it still doesn't serve absolutely everyone. And we know that it still does take work on behalf of businesses. And for that reason, let me conclude with this, Lieutenant Governor. We have information sessions coming up. And with your permission, we'll let you get this information and put it on your website and tweet it out too. But tomorrow, for businesses that have questions, want to learn more about what I just said, or having trouble with their applications in any which way, 5 p.m. Commerce staff have an information session. Check out commerceri.com. You can check it out now. Get the information on how to do it, how to be with us at 5 p.m. tomorrow. For the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, there's a separate session, another session at 6 p.m. tomorrow in Spanish at 6 p.m. tomorrow. Thursday, noon, Commerce staff are doing a session, Thursday at noon. Friday, 1 o'clock, Commerce staff are doing a session, all available at commerceri.com. If you're a small business and you're saying, I'm still having trouble, I'm dialoguing with CRF, and I need your advocacy, Commerce, anything you want to do, anything you want to find out, you can check out those sessions.
Okay, that's a mouthful. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. So, Secretary, I would just, you mentioned the travel agents. I had a long conversation with one of them yesterday. I'm glad you're recognizing, they would actually ask for more information after they gave you all the information they thought they had to give, which was frustrating for them. And yeah, these businesses, this one travel agent, they probably employed 10 people. And they also have had to refund an awful lot of deposits. God bless these travel agents that can still be in business after, having all these cancellations and deposits returned. They're really struggling, just like a lot of other businesses. So, yeah, the more flexible you can make this, on behalf of our small businesses, that's what I'm hearing. And then the broader you can make the opening for them. I mean, we have sole proprietors that pay rent, and they only have one employee. They pay rent. They work with vendors. Hopefully we're going to be able to open that up, and I'd ask you to kind of make that consideration as well on behalf of, thousands of businesses that are not allowed right now. Some actually have applied. They're going to get pushed out of your system, by the way, because they have actually put the application in under the current terms. So the flexibility is so important, and getting the cash out to them is really critical. So anything that you do, I know that you're dealing with 15. Are you going to do another 1,500 on this round, Secretary?
We did the first round, and we were very pleased with how it worked out, and we're pleased with the pace with which we're able to work them through, the applicants, meaning we're already getting money out the door. We're making steady progress with some of the applicants that still have information to provide, and we're pleased with the pace in round 2. So having said that, no cap yet. We may have to, pause the program again just to make sure that we process everyone and we treat everyone with the level of attention that they deserve. But right now, we just have it open.
Yeah. So the more flexible you can be on that application process. I did share with Matt last week. We had a good conversation. Thank you for having Matt on. And because we want to get this money out the door, we want to have more and more businesses apply. We know that there's thousands of them out there that we haven't got the message to. I'll just give you a little quick sidebar. I had lunch with someone who's involved with a business association in Providence that we hadn't met with. And when we're talking about all the things we're doing, including the grants, he wasn't aware of it. So there's thousands of businesses out there right now that are not aware of what's going on. So that's one of our challenges. But I did share with Matt one state that virtually simplified theirs, a small grant strategy into about 30,000 businesses, where they just basically did a tax
$1,000 maximum business, though. Only a couple $1,000 of business.
Yeah, that's correct. It was like 2,500 on that. So
what we're worried about there is for the slightly larger small businesses. That's just not enough. Now, so we could do a flat grant across the state for minimum money and really not help people sufficiently. So that's the challenge, as you know. It's a little bit more complicated to have employment drive the dollar amounts higher. As a matter of fact, even as we were developing our model, you even proposed that approach. So that's the trade-off. That's why what we're doing, Lieutenant Governor, is we're hacking away at the rigidity of this approach wherever it exists, and providing more flexibility to get these businesses through and funded.
Yeah. So it's obviously a new territory, but we'll keep on sharing some of the states that are starting to step in now. Vermont has a very interesting program. Take a look at that. That was actually brought up on our last call by one of our listeners. Said, take a look at Vermont. They're about 160 million right now towards on that COVID dollars to help small businesses. So just keep on doing the work you're doing, Secretary. Get the money out the door, and we'll get into the next phase of the thing, which is this idea of a loan program that I think that we really need to start to organize. And hopefully Mark will be around long enough. He won't leave until that's set up. But Mark, do you have any questions or any comments to the Secretary?
No, I just I want to commend the Secretary. I think flexibility and this is a moving target, and I think as you adapt to the moving target, you're helping the Rhode Island small business community, and I commend you for that. I mean, there's a lot of people who need help. I mean, we clearly, and you and I have had this discussion. Hospitality, retail have clearly been the number one that have been impacted. We need them, and we need them to survive, and anything that we can do to help that, I think, is really critical. I'm not disparaging towards any other industries, but those are clearly the ones that are most impacted.
No, and I'm so glad you mentioned it. First of all, Director Hayward doesn't get enough credit for the unbelievable work he's done through this.
It's not going to give me a raise, Mr. Secretary.
There at every hour, and we should all keep lassoing him to keep him from retiring. But and by the way, Director Hayward was an early thought partner as well in how to do a small business program using our CARES Act money. As Mark remembers, back in May, we were already dreaming. So that's very much appreciated. But as to restaurants and caterers, I just want every restaurateur and caterer on this call to hear me. You're eligible. We even removed the upward cap for you. You're not even constrained between 1 and 20 employees because that would be so impractical. You have so many part-time staff members and unusual employment relationships. We just wanted you in because you've been so devastated. So if you're out there and you're a restaurant or a caterer, you should be applying. The only exception is truly national chains. The only exception. So please apply, and we would welcome your application. By the way, I mentioned these technical assistance sessions. Let me say again, there's even one tomorrow at 5 p.m., noon on Thursday, 1 o'clock on Friday. Please check those out at commerceri.com. We're starting to get notes from businesses that are saying, you know, I don't have so much time, and these technical assistance sessions are helping me through. So little testimonials saying it's been so helpful and I got my grant. So please, I'm not saying that's true for everybody. Some of you all are still trying to get the right form to the right place to get your grant, but please try these technical assistance sessions if you haven't yet.
Yeah, so thank you so much, Secretary, to being here. I know you gotta kind of move on to another meeting.
I really appreciate it.
You know, hopefully, let's make sure that we're, you know, we got someone from your office on next week, and you know, certainly have you here would be great. And by the way, bring your mask next time. Bring your mask. I want to make
right
sure
here.
that Liz.
Okay,
right all right, that's good.
That's
okay, then there you go. And Matt's got his too. So bring your mask.
Oh, yeah.
Let's make these things flexible, and let's get the money out the door. And you know, that would be very helpful. There you go. Mark Hayward's there too. So.
Thank you, gentlemen. Really appreciate it. And to the Small Business Coalition, including Chris and the entire team, we're so grateful for your advocacy and your continuing work in communicating on what we're offering to small businesses. And if we team up, we're going to help many, many, many small businesses across Rhode Island. So thank you so much. And
yes.
Lieutenant Governor, my gratitude.
I'll just and then with a 30-second shout out to everybody that's been on these calls and beyond these calls, and all the you know, the workshops that have been going on with the state, with the different business organizations, whether they're chambers or whether they're business associations. We have this tremendous opportunity right now to really move small business friendliness in the state. The small businesses are really aware of what we're trying to get done, what your office is trying to get done, what Mark is trying to get done for them. And it has been reflected in a national poll. I don't know if you read this,
That's
but
right.
Thumbtack
Look at that.
To an A, and during the COVID-19 timeframe.
You know it. Number 2 in the entire country. Am I right, sir?
That's correct. And we need to, and I've been working with them, and I remember you being at one of the first sessions at Amica.
I think 2 or 3 of them, sir.
That's correct. So we got to keep that A in normal times, and the way you do it is to make sure that these small businesses know that they're being listened to. So let's keep up the good work. Appreciate you being here.
Thank you, Lieutenant Governor. Thank you also, Joe and Matt and Director Hayward. And also, I know Ben's off screen right now, but thank you, Ben, and thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Secretary.
Yep. There you go. All right, so let's bring Matt on. We're doing pretty good here, and then we'll end up the show with the coalition members. But Matt, unmute yourself and then give us an overview. And I know that Mark was talking about a little bit of work, and I do want to follow up on a question that was asked last week for the bus drivers that are employed by the local communities, as they keep on getting pushed back when the heck they're coming back to work. They're still calling me, and I'm sure they're calling you. And what can they do to actually open up the unemployment opportunities for them, because they're not employed? And I'm sure there's got to be some strategy that that they can help these people.
I'm going to try to go real quick because I know you got some stuff going on. Let's talk about the bus drivers really quick.
Yep.
I am working with the Cranston bus drivers. I've mentioned this before. Some districts employ their own personnel, and the law treats employees different if you're employed by the educational institution or if you're employed by a contractor. So if you work for a bus company and not the school, then you can customarily collect unemployment anytime the school's on break. But if you work for the school, the law says you cannot. That is not Matt Weldon's decision or the Department of Labor and Training's decision or Lieutenant Governor McKee's decision. It is Rhode Island general law. So because of that, we cannot pay you in the summer break unless you are actually missing work. And I've explained this to some of the bus drivers. But Governor, what I'm trying to do is coordinate the effort. There's just too many, and we need to stop contacting everybody every day because we are working to try to resolve it. And so I am working with the head of their union and their union local person to try to get a spreadsheet of all the people that they think have been impacted. We're then going to coordinate that response on our side. As for the 2 weeks or any amount of time that school gets pushed back, that's different. That's within a customary school term. So they should be able to collect for that time. And I will personally be responsible to make sure that we get them enrolled and paid for those 2 weeks. I cannot promise anything on the summer. It's going to be different for Joe or Mark or Matt or the governor, because if Joe had scheduled shifts that he lost, he'll get paid. And if Mark didn't, then he won't. So it's all going to be different. I'm not avoiding them. I'm trying to help them. But I also, from Sunday to today, got 1,472 emails. And so it's very difficult to stay on top of every single one. Just quickly going to run down. We have 406,000 claims. That is probably now being driven up by people that think they need to refile when they don't, and by fraud claims. We know that 100,000 people and 100,504 people successfully requested a payment last week. That does not include this Sunday's payment. That was the payment for the week before that. That's a lot of people, and it's probably 20% or just around that of Rhode Island's workforce. So it's a significant number, and it's something that it keeps us very busy. I told you last week we had more people on the phones. The good thing is we're helping a lot of people every day on the phone. Keep trying to get in touch with us. We're doing the very best that we can to answer those calls and to get people a quick resolution. Let me just run down what happened this weekend. We have a certification system. We've talked about this before. You apply for unemployment, and then once a week you have to either use a phone or go online and request a payment. The federal government, Department of Labor, sent us a nice little letter that said that our certification questions during the pandemic were not compliant with federal law, and that we needed to ask many more questions about people being able to work and available for work, about people looking for work. Those are basically the tenets of unemployment. The problem, Governor, is that with the pandemic unemployment, those terms don't always apply.
Yes.
And USDOL basically said, that's too bad, ask the questions. And so we put up the questions this weekend. The good thing is no one was blocked out. There were no busy signals. We can handle the volume. The problem is the questions were confusing. They're confusing to me, and I do this every day. So immediately on Sunday after I had my coffee and I was talking to my wife, I noticed I had email, all with people saying, Matt, I had a problem. To fix that problem, Governor, yesterday we auto-paid everyone that had an issue on Sunday. And we processed all of the regular payments that went through on Sunday. So that means that those people do not need to contact DLT. The money should be in their account by the end of the week. I think it'll be in their account tomorrow. Those payments were all left DLT yesterday and went to a bank run. For next week, when they use the system, the questions have additional text under each question that tells them how they can answer it based on their circumstance. Right in the beginning of it, it says, please be patient, take your time, review every single question. A number of people go on after midnight, and I got so many emails between midnight and 4 in the morning. Maybe it doesn't matter if you do it then or do it at 3 in the afternoon. You get paid in the same cadence, the same time. So maybe do it when you have fresh eyes. It was our fault this week. The questions were confusing, but now we've added some language. So really spend some time with it, people. Read through it. Try to see what it says. What it says basically is if you're out of work and your circumstances haven't changed since you applied, you have to say that you're able to work, because you are. You have to say you're available for work. Now, it says if you had COVID or have COVID or somebody does, you can still answer yes to that question right now because of the pandemic, and that's explained on the web system itself. You are not submitting a false document. You're doing everything that we're telling you to do. Your payment will go through. The one question that talks about looking for work, if you're still attached to your job and you say, I'm not looking for work, typically that would throw you out. Right now, the system, you can still say you're not, and the system won't throw you out. It's going to pay you anyway. So I know it sounds confusing. Everybody, please take your time with it. Read through every question. Spend 15 minutes doing it instead of a couple of minutes, and you should be okay. The last thing I want to quickly mention is the extra $400 or $300 that the president announced. That is an incredibly complicated program that involves multiple federal agencies that have now each sent out multiple guidance documents. So we are reviewing all of that information and working on a grant application. We do not know yet and will not know probably until I talk to you next week what Rhode Island is going to do. I can tell you that 7 states as of yesterday had applied. Only one of them had applied for the full 400. 6 applied for the $300 benefit, and 2 states said they weren't going to apply at all. So right now, Rhode Island is still working through this problem. Unfortunately, they announced something that seemed very easy, but is quite complicated. And in order to prevent any holdups with claimants, we want to make sure we get it right. People will be paid back to August 1st should we go forward with it.
Well, that's a lot of information, Matt.
I'm sorry, it is.
And it's important to get it on the table because the there's a change. There's changes happening, and it's going to impact thousands of people in the state. But it's good to know that that you're on top of it, and we're going to work our way through. Our office is open. If people out there having trouble, communicating in terms of understanding what's going on, they should be contacting our office, contacting your office, Matt. We'll steer it along. So thank you. Mark, do you have any questions of Matt? I know that we were talking offline on something that you were working on, falling into that fraud area.
Yeah, and I think Matt and I touched base. The part of the issue of the fraud on the idle side also seems to be married, Matt, with the fact that claims are being filed for a UI, and that there are savory characters that are doing this, and most of them are, as I said to General Neronha, it appears that they may be tied to an Equifax breach a few years ago, and I'm sure you're aware of it, Matt. And Matt and I talked about this a little earlier. I sent him some stuff, and I do know that their Director Coit and others are coordinating with state police and FBI, and certainly I've been coordinating with the Inspector General's office and the U.S. Attorney. But just check your credit. I mean, I don't know how many times I can tell people that's really where we're finding it, is people saying, "Oh, somebody hit my credit," and I can't understand why. And that's really what it's all about. By the way, somebody just texted me that said I should grow a beard like Matt and Joe's, and I just told them no, I'm not going to do that.
Maybe in your retirement, you never know.
Yes, Joe,
you got another year, Matt. So,
Governor, the last thing is, I'm trying to keep
Matt.
up with my email, but there are so many right now.
Yeah.
I am changing my auto reply frequently throughout the day, and I'm going to encourage everyone that's participating. Please read what it says, because what I'm trying to do is put general messages up that say, for instance, we've already paid you, you'll be paid by Thursday or whatever day, or there's no reason for you to recertify or try again, or try to hit our claim status page, because it's once you've been paid, the system thinks you don't exist until next week. So if you keep trying to check it and it's making you anxious, it's not going to get any better. So I'm going to keep doing that. And of course, I'm going to keep working with your office. You've been such a good advocate for everyone that's trying to get through. I feel like I do them in batches, and your poor staff get 15 emails from me at a time on Saturday mornings. But I'll keep at it.
Well,
yeah, Matt's been fantastic. I mean, even the times that I've reached out to him and it's really something that was important, he was right there and responded immediately.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna keep this going, and because this COVID's not going away, and one of the reasons you're getting emails at 2 or 3 in the morning, people are not sleeping well. We know that. Whether it's not just the small businesses out there that are not sleeping well, it's people who are caught in a bind right now, and they are being caught in a bind. So that's the time frame that you're getting those emails, Matt, is a reflection that they're just not sleeping well, and so the work that you're doing is helping them sleep better. So thank you for that. Joe, do you have any questions of Matt?
Yeah, Matt, in the interest of keeping your emails down, you mentioned a few really important tips at the beginning when you came on here related to if you have COVID, what do you select with the new questions? If you're attached to your employer, are you thinking about posting those anywhere? So if we get those questions, rather than send them to your email, we can just give them that quick hit guide? Or
yeah, so we could do that. The person that's our liaison with the company that does that. I worked in a spreadsheet out. What I can do is have our communications people put that into a one-page document that's easy to follow, and then we can share that. That would make it easier, Mayor. It's a good idea. Thank you.
Thanks, Matt.
Okay, Joe. Thanks, Joe. Mark, thank you for being here today. Matt, thanks for being here.
See ya.
Yeah, see you later. Joe, stick around if you can. Can you stay a few more minutes with the coalition members, or are you out of here?
Sure. Nope. Go ahead.
Please stay on. I think that's important. Chris, welcome aboard. I don't know if Laurie's with us, or are you doing solo today?
Solo today. Can you
Solo
hear me
today.
okay?
I can absolutely. Give us a little recap, and you heard some of the things that Secretary Pryor, was saying, and we're still advocating for the 75 million more. We're advocating for more people. So give us a little overview of the call you had yesterday, and thank you for continuing those Monday calls. People, businesses out there, they should be, if they need information how to get on the calls with Chris, he can provide that information. We can as well. But the more activity we have right now, the larger our voice is for help small businesses. Thanks for being here, Chris.
Of course, my pleasure, and thank you for all that you're doing, and everyone that was on earlier. They're a huge support for small businesses. We'll start off with our weekly coalition call. So if anyone would like to participate, please email info@rismallbusiness.org. Ben, if you could put that up when you get a second. Once you email us, we will, thank you, Ben, as on cue. Once you email us, we'll add you to a calendar invite, as it's a recurring call every Monday at 11 a.m. And with that call, as we get to not only update you on what we're doing, how things are going, but we also want to hear from you, hear suggestions, thoughts, ideas. It's a really collaborative conversation where we're really getting into the weeds with things and discussing details, such as some initiatives that we want to pursue and going to pursue. As you just mentioned, the 75 million, that's the next thing on our docket, is that we need to have a program that's, more inclusive than the current one, quicker and faster. Secretary Pryor, he has worked with us. He has worked with Lieutenant Governor's office, and we're glad that there is 50 million out there. There is some money getting out to these small businesses. We did talk to a few that did receive it, and it is a lifeline for them for these next few months, which is important. But there's a lot more work to be done. 50 million isn't enough, as we all know. So we're looking to work on that, as well as the loan program that you talked about. So in addition to all of that, we understand that we also have to figure out how to help each other and help each other grow their business. So with that, there's kind of two areas. One of them is this networking, connecting, how to do business with each other, and how can we support locally opposed to doing services with businesses outside the area, so that we can collectively work together. The other part is coaching, right? There's some experts within our coalition that want to help other small businesses that may not be able to understand how to best market themselves, how to best position themselves. So we're trying to do that, and we're also connecting them with all these great organizations out there, like the Center for Women in Enterprise, like the Rhode Island Small Business Development Center, like the Hispanic Chamber out there, and there's all these in Rhode Island SCORE. There's all these great organizations that Rhode Island has that these small businesses are just simply not aware of. So we're connecting them with these organizations, providing these coaching services ourselves, as well as trying to figure out how can we simply do business with each other and really truly form a coalition that is helping businesses today, as well as figuring out a way to make our state a small business friendly state, and get that thumbtack rating of A, not just for during the COVID, but after COVID as well, Lieutenant Governor.
Yeah, well, Chris, I know that with Justin and Laurie and yourself, and then other members that are, really actively involved, and I won't mention them all, but they've been on this program on and off over the last several months. The work that was done just on the billboards, to promote the site, right, the rismallbusiness.org site. That's thousands and thousands of donated dollars in a time frame where it highlighted small businesses and a need for us to be, working with our small business, doing business with our small business, purchasing advanced services from our small business. Any way that we can support our small businesses, that message was loud and clear, along with the TV coverage, the commercials that went on, and many, many other things. That has really elevated the small business community. So your work with Justin and Lori as being the center of the effort, and then all these other businesses coming in. It was surprising to me that it's something to be proud of. During this COVID-19, the work that we're doing is making an impression on our small businesses. They know we care about them. We always can do more. We need to keep on working to do more because there's work to be done, during the COVID-19 pandemic and after. This coalition that you've been able to establish is going to be just as important, during as it will be down the road. So thanks for doing that work. Joe, do you have any thoughts on this at all?
Yeah, I think I will, if it's okay. Just first of all, say thanks to Chris. I don't think people out there watching really understand the magnitude of the time he puts into this, and so thanks. I know it's only August 18th today, but if this continues on, we could get to the point where we lose outdoor options and things get even more challenging. And today really resonated with me before the market opened when earnings were announced, and we've got big winners out there. They're Home Depot and they're Walmart. When the choices you make as we lose the outdoor options for our small businesses are really important. So I just remind people to pause, before you go to your Home Depots and your Walmarts and think about the small business options you have, because if you're not conscious of that behavior, and as we go into the fall and lose these outdoor options, it's going to impact the community around you in the way it looks and feels and in the presence of your small businesses. So we all just need to remember to be changing our behavior if that's our go-to habits these days.
Yeah, I'll end by saying I completely agree with you. And Secretary Pryor mentioned this, as well as the governor. I mean, the best solution for helping small businesses is keeping business and the economy going. The grants are obviously helpful, and locally we all have a part in supporting and growing our small businesses, making these decisions, right? I just closed on a house where we're doing all this paint and construction. We didn't go to Home Depot. We didn't go to Lowe's. We went to the local we went to all these local shops to buy the paint, which gets expensive, and buy all of these supplies. And these little decisions that we make add up to big impact for our small businesses. So I urge everyone to shop local, to buy from our local, and support our local economy.
Yeah, when at time we're doing a lot of home stuff right now, right? And so we're using our grill quite a bit, and I'm because we're at home. And so when we had to fill up the tank, go to Rogers Hardware, my local hardware store right in Cumberland, right on Broad Street. And then of course when we're in there, we're buying light bulbs and we're buying other cleaning stuff and we're buying other materials. So yes, let's support our small businesses every way that we can, Chris. And I can tell you right now that the work that you've done and the work, again, that Lori and Justin started, and along with our office, and this call is resonating around the state of Rhode Island. We know that people are saying, do you know that Lieutenant Governor McKee, he's got this call? Do you know there's a coalition and there's people working on this business coalition? And people who are very excited about that, but also people who have been, not doing right by our small businesses. They're taking notice and they're listening. So let's keep the energy going. Let's keep the momentum going. And let's come out of this really as strong as we went into it, and maybe even stronger in terms of the supporting our local small business entrepreneurs. I do want to just mention quickly, on Thursday at 11 o'clock in the morning, we'll have a live Facebook Live of our Lieutenant Governor Entrepreneur Challenge. This is the final business pitch. These young kids are going to high school students, are our young entrepreneurs in the state. Please, if you're listening to this program, listen in. Take a look at the entrepreneurs in the high school community. They're going to be competing for $14,000 of scholarship money because of the local because of our credit union sponsorship, along with the realtors. Dunkin' Donuts, one of the shops, is doing that as well. Massey Financial is doing it, and of course, and Dr. Daycare are our sponsors. Our community conversation tomorrow night will center on this entrepreneur challenge. So please listen in, and we'll give you an overview of not only the work that Chris is doing to help support our current seasoned businesses, the ones that are really struggling right now, but also we're making an effort out of our office to really encourage young entrepreneurs in the state of Rhode Island. This is where we want them to open their businesses. This is where we want them to live and appreciate this great state that we live in.
Yeah, I'll be wearing both of my hats on Thursday because I'm on the board for Millennial RI and we're part of that program. And I'll put my Small Business Coalition hat, and I look forward to not just judging, but listening and seeing a great young talent that this state has to offer and supporting our young entrepreneurs. It's a great program you do, Lieutenant Governor. So we look forward to that.
That's great. Okay, Chris, thank you for your leadership. Joe, thanks for sharing your time today. Appreciate it very much. Anybody out there? We'll close up. We went a little overtime today, but it's jam-packed with information. If you need information, call our office, 222-2371. Email us at our Gmail, which you see on the ltgov20@gmail.com. That's our special email address that we put up when we started this programming. It sounds like years ago, but it was just 3-4 months ago. So please contact our office. Let us know how we can help. Apply for those grants. It is very important that everyone that is out there that has a small business apply for those grants, because it is going to help us advocate for the next level of 75 million to even open up more businesses and create a more flexible and maybe even a quicker time frame as the secretary really takes a look at the program and figuring out ways to make improvements to that program. So until we get back together on next Tuesday, everybody stay healthy, follow the rules. And if you have some time tomorrow night for our community conversation, listen in. It's at 7 o'clock. And please listen in. We're going to talk about that entrepreneur challenge, that high school entrepreneur challenge. Very exciting. Very exciting. You're going to love the presentations that are going to be made on Thursday at 11 o'clock. So thank you for tuning in. Appreciate all the help. Stay healthy.